I'd like to call this meeting of the Cable Commission back to order, please. We're out of executive session. And Mr. Edgar, would you please report out, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. Waters. Commission members, as a result of your executive session, my report dated February 1st for this commission meeting is now a public document, and Diane Graber will be making that available to members of the audience. As you're aware, the Commission has met in executive session a number of times during the fall and early part of this year in reviewing the issues related to hiring a new permanent director. In November, you accepted the resignation of Paul Hahn and appointed me as interim director, and then asked us to quantify and explain more fully the need for a full-time executive director, and we did that. And in your meeting on December 6th, you affirmed that the position of executive director was needed, a full-time position for at least the next 3 years until we are able to handle the workload that's now facing the Commission. And you directed the staff to schedule an employment interview with the previous executive director, Richard Esposto, who had expressed an interest in reapplying for the position. Now, after that interview, the majority of the Commission asked that we see if we could put a contract together with Mr. Esposto, and we have done that, and that's before you for your consideration. And I might indicate that in my report, there is in fact the basic points of the contract: the salary, the health benefits, the leave time. There is a severance provision, and there's a very restrictive outside employment provision.
Can we start over again? We have no.
No, it's done. You have in your report a resolution asking that in conformance with your action, that you appoint Mr. Esposto executive director for the Commission, and that you approve his contract, which is attached to the resolution. I'd be pleased at this point to answer any questions or make any clarifications if the Commission desires.
Are there any questions of Mr. Edgar? If not, Mr. Yee?
Mr. Chair, if there isn't any discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve Rich Esposto as our new executive director, and also including the related employment contract.
Yes, sir. I would also, I neglected to point out, if this is the wish of the majority of the Commission, I would ask that the effective date of the contract be February 16th, which is a pay period for the county, and that will allow Rich a brief period of time to at least come on, get acquainted up to speed on the issues before he is faced with the documents that are coming to affect the new transfer.
I will include that part of the motion.
Is that acceptable, Mr. Yee?
I would second that.
Okay, may we have a roll call?
Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry.
Just a comment. I would just note that it would have been my preference to have conducted a search for this position, but in light of the fact that a majority of this Commission wishes to move forward this, I think it's important to make a strong affirmative statement in that regard when any new executive is being hired, and therefore I will support the motion, notwithstanding my own preference for a different process.
Got it.
Thank you, Roger.
I also would like to state for the record, too, that my personal position is advocate for a search for the position, but the majority of the Commission is the majority of the Commission, and I will support that.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please read roll call.
Yes, Jones.
Aye.
Pillsbury.
Aye.
Dickinson.
Aye.
Peters McEwen.
Aye.
Collin.
Yes.
Yee,
Aye.
Nilo,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Natoli,
Extension.
Waters.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You thought I was voting no, Roger?
All right, would you read the next item, please?
We're on item 5, election chairperson, vice chair.
Nominate Mr. Waters for a second year.
Would you like to do that a second year?
Yeah.
And Natoli, you're supposed to step up to the
Suppose-
plate, aren't
Yes,
you?
Don and I have discussed this. Don, normally we change chairs every year, and talking to various commissioners, some of the changes that'll be coming up, been asked to stay one more year, and so I would certainly accept the nomination as chair for another year, and would make a nomination that Don Natoli be the vice chair.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. Thank you for the honor for the second year.
Thank you for agreeing to serve, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Chairman. All yours, buddy.
Next item, please.
We have community programming grantees, funding estimates for 2002-2003 fiscal year, and contract renewal. And we have a speaker when we get to that.
This is a report that relates to the normal and routine report that the Commission considers every year and relates to funding estimates that we are obligated to provide to the grantees. And we have recommended a one-year contract renewal in order to get this issue beyond us for another year so that we can concentrate on things like the pending transfer, the 30 megahertz issue, and enforcement initiatives. So we are recommending, as set forth in the report, that we provide a recommended estimate to the grantees of their base funding, which is $1,195,806, plus $50,000 for special funding. This does not constrain the Commission for additional budgets or reduced budgets at the time you actually adopt the budget, but this is in conformance with the provisions in the contract. And then the second part is that at least our recommendation was to recommend a one-year contract renewal until the subcommittee finishes its review and the Commission has the time to begin to review these additional contracts. Be pleased to answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just procedurally, Harriet, I assume I should abstain on this item.
Are you still on the board for,
I am.
then you should, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I have no objection since we're contractually required to first half of the two items under this agenda item. The second one, though, gives me some pause because I don't have a copy of the contract in front of me and I haven't had a chance to review it. And what I'd like to ask is if we could put over to our next meeting the contract renewal recommendation, and if you could provide board members with a copy of the contract so we could take a look at it. There's one provision in particular that's been troubling to me in the 2 years that I've been on the Commission, and that is the contractual requirement that we announce before we have actual hearings and budget information in front of us what our intended funding is going to be for grantees. And I've raised that a number of occasions, and I am concerned about just sort of approving another contract with that provision, and frankly, without having had a chance to review the contract that you're asking us to adopt. So I guess what I'd like to ask is the indulgence of my colleagues, and if we can put that one over a month, but take up the first part.
Okay, is that acceptable?
That's fine.
Okay. All right, so this requires a motion.
I think they had a
Art?
speaker. You have a
I'm sorry, I do have Ron Cooper. Ron, would you come up, please? I'm sorry. Thank you, Isla.
Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento, and just very briefly on this item, We appreciate Mr. Edgar's appreciation of what we've done and how we've been able to work together. We understand that, once again, we're at this tight financial crisis that always seems to plague all of us, and so we appreciate that it would be status quo funding, but we also wanted to note that as you'll hear later in this session, that the marketing strategy and that $50,000 we think so far has really been a very helpful way of increasing the visibility of the channels and the programming, and also really appreciate the recommendation to continue that. And as far as Councilman Jones, your question about the process, again, this has been, as you said, for you it's been 2 years, and as far as the grantee organizations trying to find some way of knowing how to plan long term, that is something that we share. I guess we're looking at it from a different perspective in that at least with March, we have some sense within a matter of months then for June for preparation. But this kind of activity really is a multiple year kind of contract activity. And so while I understand the need for that this is somehow unique, I would also ask to consider the possibility of, once we establish a process, that there be a multi-year contract so that planning and purchasing can occur. So thank you.
And I'm not necessarily opposed to moving to a multi-year contract. It's just I don't even have the 1-year contract in front of me right now, so I hear what you're saying.
Understand. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you're ready for a motion, I would move commission adoption of
the item, excuse me, the item, there are 2 resolutions, and if you want to go ahead with item 6A, the funding estimates, that would be one resolution that the commission could consider. Then the second resolution would be a continuance for the 1 month.
Move adoption of 6A and...
Vote on that first.
You want to do them separately? Okay. Move adoption of 6A.
Second on 6A.
Second.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing
Abstain.
none. Mr. Jones?
Okay, and then I would move that we put over till our next meeting the discussion of the renewal of the contract.
Mr. Dickinson abstained, I think.
Yes. I'll second that motion.
Okay. Then, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, Mr. Dickinson abstained. It's hereby passed, and we'll move on to item 7, please.
We have AT&T franchise fee pass-through to subscribers.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, you have Harriet's memo in front of you, and basically this relates to AT&T's decision to pass through non-subscriber franchise fees to subscribers. We object to that, and we're recommending that you do the 3 things that she's outlined in your report: the approval of sending us the letter, directing the staff to meet with AT&T on these issues, and then direct the staff to bring back a recommendation as to whether we ought to consider regulations. Harriet's done a great deal of work on this, and I'd like her to go through this memo with you.
All right.
This issue is one of those issues that takes a while to go through and make some sense of. But as you know, your franchise fee, which in Sacramento is 2.35%, is based on the gross revenues of the cable operator. Those gross revenues include both revenues from subscribers, people who receive the service. They include revenues from advertising. They can include revenues from home shopping, revenues from leased access of channels. There's, a fairly large and expansive definition of what constitutes gross revenues in your franchise agreement. Several months ago, the FCC, in a decision that came out of the city of Pasadena, said that in setting up the bill for subscribers, cable companies had the ability to pass through to subscribers the amount of the franchise fee that was attributable to the revenue from non-subscriber revenue. So advertising revenue, they pay a franchise fee on, and they pay a franchise fee on subscriber revenue. The FCC decision arguably gave them the right to take the amount of money attributable to the franchise fee cost on the non-subscriber revenue and charge that to the subscribers. The effect of that is basically to increase the rates to the subscribers while still arguably calling it a franchise fee. You do not get any more money. You get the same amount of money you always did. You haven't changed your franchise fee. It's exactly the same. And yet the bills that started coming through this month show a higher franchise fee. And many of the franchising authorities, if not all of them, protested this decision of the FCC and is currently in litigation in Texas in the Fifth Circuit. That case is going forward at the Court of Appeal. So AT&T sent a letter to Sacramento, like they did to all their other franchising agencies, and said, we intend to implement this decision, and we're going to implement it based on an estimate of what we think non-subscriber revenue is going to be. And they set that estimate at 0.23% of a subscriber's bill. We have no way of knowing at this point whether or not that's an accurate estimate, whether it's too high or too low. It's also the same estimate regardless of whether you're in a jurisdiction that has 5% franchise fee or a jurisdiction like you that has a 2.35% franchise fee. So we have a lot of questions about how they calculated it, whether it's appropriate to charge an estimate, if it's appropriate to charge it at all, how they're going to true that up, and when they're going to true it up, and whether or not they're going to accurately portray what they're doing to the subscribers so that the subscribers do not think that you increase the franchise fee. The other thing that AT&T asked in the letter that they wrote to the Commission was, if you don't want to, quote, increase the franchise fee to the subscribers, why don't you just restrict your definition of gross receipts so that you only charge gross receipts on subscriber revenue? So it seemed to us that they have a contractual obligation right now to pay 2.35% based on gross receipts as defined. They and their predecessors signed off on that definition. And that's their obligation. It's not the obligation of the subscriber. How they choose to pass it through may or may not end up being allowable. But we have some questions both as to the amount and the methods, which the FCC has not dealt with yet. And we wanted to have the Commission write back to AT&T, basically telling them that we're not going to reduce our franchise fee to accommodate their desire to charge more to subscribers, and that we had serious questions about the way that they had implemented this decision, and that if and when which we want to talk about at greater length and see if we can come to an agreement as to how this is going to work, at least in the interim time while the lawsuits are going forward. And that if the lawsuits go forward and the Fifth Circuit decides that this was improper, that we expect them to start refunding that money back to the subscribers with interest. And that's basically the letter before you. We're asking you to approve that letter and have the chair sign it and authorize staff to meet with AT&T and discuss all these issues, and then to bring back a report to you on the matter. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them.
Questions?
No.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Unbelievable, the fertile minds of AT&T. I would make the recommendation. I'd move all three recommendations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Hearing none? Hereby carries. Next item, please.
We have staff status report with capital funding reimbursement, meeting schedule, extended warranty contract, office location, and miscellaneous.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, there are really 4 items in this staff report, 2 of which require action by the Commission itself. The other 2 are informational. With regard to the first item, which is informational, the capital trip, you know, is coming up and provides a lobbying opportunity for the Commission. In the current budget, you have an amount of money of $5,000 that was approved to reimburse members who are on the Cable Commission intending to go back. And the way we have worked that is that based upon your past policy direction, the staff reimburses a minimum of 500. That's how you get the 5,000, 500 times 10 members. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Thank you.
500 per member attending the CAP, or a prorated distribution if not all the commissioners go, so that we'll use that up depending upon what we have to do there. So that's one item. That's an informational item, does not require your action. Second item, we would like your adoption of a resolution changing the March meeting to March 11th. We have checked with your secretary's calendars. They claim that that's available even though it's a Monday. We need to do that because the city has changed their council meeting because of the election, and they will be meeting at the same time that the Cable Commission regularly meets on Thursday. So that's one item we'll need your action if you so see fit to do that. Then the third item is the extended warranty contract, and this requires adoption of the resolution. The Metro Cable digital playback system, we purchased that 2 years ago and has been under a 1-year warranty and extended warranty. And at the request of the Metro staff, Donna has asked the vendor to provide a 1-year extension for $7,000, which is no increase in cost to that paid for the past extensions. And she's been able to leverage some equipment and so on out of that. So we're recommending that we go ahead with this warranty extension. And then the final item is an informational item, which is the library's kicking us out of the library offices. So we're going to have to get on our horse and see if we can find a new location. Obviously, we want to be very close to the city and the county offices in the downtown area, and so we'll be exploring that. And the Marie Gold, the new city county librarian, has given us a date of approximately July 1st to move, and we'll be doing that. So attached to this report are 2 resolutions, one changing the date of the next commission meeting, and the second approving this warranty. Would ask your approval of those resolutions.
Okay.
Questions?
No, I'll move the first one, the extended warranty contract first. I'll move that resolution first in case there's any discussion on the meeting date.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Hearing none, so bypassed.
Okay. Meeting schedule, did it work with everyone's schedule? At 11 a.m.?
2 p.m. it says.
2 p.m.
It's now
March
2.
11th, it says
Okay.
in the
Did we
staff
have it?
report, 2 p.m.
It does?
On the agenda.
What's the time?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 to 4:30.
I'm sorry if
Okay.
that
On the-
says.
No, it was marked wrong on my calendar, so it's at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. on
Okay.
Monday, March 11th.
I've got it entered twice.
Pardon me?
I have it entered twice.
You paid twice.
Electronics. That's why I don't
Okay.
use the Palm Pilot anymore. It kicks out my secretary's messages, and then hers kicks it right back out of mine, so.
I'm not. Is there any problem with that? All right.
You want a motion? So move.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right, at this point, I'd like to ask a question, Mr. Edgar, on the, I know it doesn't take a vote here, but we talked about the cap-to-cap financing. I just think that it would be good that we appropriate the money, or if it's already in the budget, to have Mr. Esposito go back to the cap-to-cap to familiarize himself with the cap-to-cap again, that
Okay, that sounds fine. We'll
that would
We'll
not take an
talk to
action
Rich
on our
about
part. That could come right out of the
right out of the budget.
Out of the
Sure.
budget.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, and what we have under that cap to cap is the $5,000 cap, but it's a $500 cap for each, for the,
Minimum.
500 minimum,
500 million.
but it would
that's-
depend on how many would go, and I know that because of other budget constraints, that I do not know how many actually will be going back this year. And so, a lot depends on how we can cobble together from different sources, and then also coordinate special meetings on special
Right.
stuff rather than the other meetings. So-
Right.
Sure.
So we coordinate that with you for right now?
Well, what we normally do is talk to your offices at the city who are in the business of doing a good job of cobbling together this money from Safeca, from
Safeca, that's what I
the
was thinking.
library, from this
RT.
RT.
For those on the RT
for
board.
those on the RT board and
Yeah.
so on. So we are in that mix and do coordinate that. And
Okay,
of
well, we'll
course,
just leave that in
be
your
doing
hands then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next item, please.
We have franchisee, licensee, general status presentations.
Mr. Waters, members of the commission, this is the part on the agenda where we hear status reports of the franchisee licensees. And the first one is AT&T, the second one will be Wynn, and any other ones at this point. We asked AT&T to report a little bit on their the internet problem that they had before, the status of complaints, and they have some comments regarding their charitable giving campaign for last year. We've asked Wynn to comment on their construction rollout that's affecting some of the residents, particularly in Land Park at this time.
Yeah, I only have one speaker, Jeff Harkman. Jeff, would you come up, please, that have signed up? Is there anybody else wishing to speak? Please fill out just give it to the clerk there.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. In the essence of time, we would appreciate if you would allow us to present our community overview program at the March meeting.
Okay.
I know, Bill, we had talked about, you thought we might be running low on time, so if that's appropriate, we would ask your understanding there.
Okay.
In terms of the high-speed data migration, I'd like to just give you a quick update. Many of you have followed the Excited Home situation, and you know they're going through bankruptcy, and that's an unfortunate situation and one that has affected us certainly greatly. At the end of the year, we on a Friday evening, Excited Home shut off the service to our customer and our customer base, company-wide, not just here in Sacramento, but affecting 850,000 high-speed internet subscribers. We had worked in preparation for this, really, knowing the situation that they were going on. We had built an alternative network that was up and ready to go. And so at the minute they shut us off, we worked very hard on migrating our customers over to our new AT&T broadband network. It was a Herculean task. We're very proud of the team. We migrated over 850,000 customers company-wide within 6 business days. Here in Sacramento, our customers, it took 5 days to migrate them over. And so that was a huge task, certainly a task we're very proud of. Our customers are all now on our own network, and that really is the update. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
No.
I would like to, that was one of the notes I had here, that the people were not receiving their, I guess that's being negotiated now, they were not getting compensated for the actual number of days they were really down. It was just a blanket $18 refund or something, number of days times 2.
What we had announced and agreed to with our customers, that for every day that the network was down, that we would give them 2 days of credit for each day that was out. In terms of the network being actually down, there were some isolated situations in which there were nodes in the city that continued to have some technical problems, and we certainly handle those with the customers on a individual basis.
So you are looking at those complaints.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Then I have another one here that I received. A person canceled their AT&T broadband cable service, and after quoting, after I was given a closing amount to pay by February 7th, I asked when the 2 boxes and remotes would be picked up. The representative told me it was my responsibility to return all equipment to Pell Drive, or there'd be a $10 charge for someone to come and pick it up, to pick up the equipment. And then it goes on to say that, well, she knows in Elk Grove have had theirs picked up. So could you kind of clarify the difference there?
You know, I would be happy to. We offer all of our customers the alternative of bringing the equipment into Pell Drive or another payment location. I would be happy to take that individual situation offline and follow up personally to make sure that if there's something that wasn't handled there properly, we'll certainly take care of that.
But is the allegation true that it'd be a $10 charge for someone to come out and pick it up?
You know, Mr. Chairperson, I'd have to go back and take a look at the actual regs on that.
Have one of your staff call Dinah, my secretary. She can go through this.
Absolutely.
Thank you
I'd
very
be more
much.
than happy to do that.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
No, I think that each of us had comments to make because I had to listen to a husband at home. I don't know about the rest of you who went through this and obviously could not get, well, all the other messages are lost, obviously, that must have piled up at Excite at home, or the at-home site, and of course did not get through, so you've got all these misconnections and everything, and I imagine that was system-wide, must have been a headache for everybody.
Well, it was, and it was an unfortunate situation. It was not something that we wanted to have happen. We certainly worked very hard into the wee hours of that evening to make sure that we could do everything possible to make sure it didn't happen. Unfortunately, that organization made a decision to shut us off, and I think the good news is that we had an alternative network ready to go. There were many other cable organizations nationwide that you can read about that weren't ready to go and are now in the process of transitioning their customers over because Excite at Home, to the best of my understanding, officially shuts down here at the end of February. And so they're now starting to go through the same pains, if you will, that we did. The good news is we're through it. There may be some isolated situations that we still need to address, and we're absolutely committed to addressing those.
Okay, thanks.
I have a note here that the Wynn speaker has been delayed a few minutes, so if we can go on to...
Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome. I have one other item, if I could.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. This is a good news item. And it's always fun to focus on good news. And as you know, tomorrow is a big day for our nation in that we're hosting the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. And I believe it's tomorrow that the opening ceremonies take place. And I'm happy to announce to you that our customers here in the city of Sacramento and the Sacramento franchise will be able to enjoy 100% of the Olympic coverage because we have negotiated an agreement with MSNBC to make sure that we carry that channel, if you will, during the Winter Olympics. Now, just a little bit about how they're broadcasting. NBC has the coverage rights. They break it up into 3 of their channels, NBC, MSNBC, and I believe CNBC. And here in the Sacramento area, we did not carry MSNBC. We've reached an agreement. It's going to be on Channel 68 full-time during the Olympics. Then it will go off for a period of time, and then we will relaunch MSNBC on a full-time basis here shortly thereafter. So I think that's terrific news, and I just wanted to end our presentation on that positive note, if you will.
Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to just leave that open, that agenda item, and move on, and we'll go back to, you'll let me know when the Wynn representative gets here. Okay, item number 10.
Item 10, we have Community Channel Pilot Marketing Plan Update, and we have one presentation by Jen Tillman.
Jen, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairman Waters and members of the Commission. I'm Jan Tillman from KVIE. I am here to give you a very brief update on the marketing plan. It is fairly new and up and running, I'm happy to say. What you have in front of you, if you look at the top, is your logo. That's the communitycablechannels.com website and the logo that we use on all of the spots. This is a brief summary to remind us all what our goal was, which was to create an opportunity for the 4 local community channels to work together and promote the community services that we provide in TuneIn. And our Vice President for Marketing at KVIE, David Lowe, has been managing the marketing effort. Jim O'Donnell, the Creative Director for KVIE, has been executing the plan, and each of the channels has a representative on the team. We have executed the plan by establishing the website and creating tune-in spots and community channel awareness spots. You will, I hope that if you're watching the AT&T cable, you have seen some of these spots. We're going to show you a sample of 2 of them today. The tune-in spots air monthly in heavy rotation on all of the channels. So we're doing cross-promotion tune-in. We also have used the grant to execute a paid advertising plan on AT&T broadband, and I have seen the spots myself frequently. The website is up and running, and you can sign on to that and take a look at it yourself. And we have also created news releases that are going out to media to help advertise, tune in for the channels, and to promote the community service that the grantees are doing. Do we have the tape queued up? Let's take a look.
Okay, it should show here.
What's on your community cable channels this month? Metro Cable Channel 14 brings government closer to the people. Tune in and be informed on local issues. Watch Metro Cable Channel 14. Students, share your vision about current events, ideas, or issues. Create a video for Students' Educational Video Awards. Entries are due March 15th. We're on the web at communitycablechannels.com.
That's it?
Look, we're back to you.
I think there's 2. Are there 2?
Control room have a second
The
video?
second one queued up?
Do I see activity? No?
What's on your community cable channels this month? KVIE Channel 7 provides 12 hours of award-winning PBS children's programming you can trust, 5 days a week starting at 6 a.m. on Channel 7. January 26th at 6, Access Sacramento Channel 74 airs the 28th Annual Pig Bowl between the Sacramento Police Bacon Bombers and the Sheriff's Razorbacks. We're on the web at communitycablechannels.com.
The voice that you hear is actually executive producer Lori Halloran, who works at KVIE. And Lori's voice is not frequently heard on any of the KVIE promotions, so we've attached her to this project. So we'd like to have recognition developed for this logo, which I think they did a great job with. It's very distinctive. And Lori's voice, so the more repetition there is, the more awareness that there will be by people who watch all of these channels and tune across the AT&T broadband system of who we are. So that's our very early report. We'll have a much more comprehensive report for you in June and some evaluation results.
Okay, great.
Can I answer any questions for you?
It's great. This is fine.
Thank you, Jan.
This looks good.
Thank you so much. Okay, item number 11.
We have grantee status reports, and we have a couple of speakers.
I have one signed up, Liz Rhodes.
There should also be another number on Ron's.
On Ron's, I'm sorry, I gave that back. Okay, and we'll go with Liz Rhodes first and then Ron Cooper.
Hi, I'm Liz Rhodes, Executive Director of the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium. Just 2 quick things we want to report to you on today as a kind of a status of where we are. Our big push this year was really to emphasize the student work. So as you saw in there, on that little brief preview, our Student Educational Video Award competition is coming up. And that's where we concentrate on looking at student productions that really center on educational messages. We're not looking for their MTV and that kind of thing, but really on them understanding, the students understanding the power of a video and how that impacts their daily lives. So I've got a real short PSA we want to show you on that. And then the other thing is this week we're finishing up our broadcast of the Jason Project. Jason is a project that was founded by Dr. Bob Ballard, who found the Titanic underwater years and years ago, and based on the request of lots of people, said that he ought to be able to share that with students. So here in Sacramento, we implemented through 2 of our districts, Folsom Cordova and Grant District, and it's a year-round curriculum that's internet-based. But what is very unusual about Sacramento is through our partnerships with Access Sacramento, there's broadcasts that occur during 2 weeks of January. This year, the Jason folks are up in Alaska, and Sacramento is one of the few communities in the United States that carries the entire broadcast, all 50 hours, and we're able to do that because of Access Sacramento. It's a wonderful program. It's geared as and promoted as real science, so that really gives kids an idea of what science and exploration is all about, and they're studying the Arctic lands in Alaska. So if you have just a minute, we'll take a look at those 2 PSAs.
The Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium and Access Sacramento present the Jason Project.
Hello, my name is Sarah Walker, a student Argonaut for last year's expedition, Jason 12 Hawaii. This year, Jason's going to Alaska with Frozen Worlds. Come join us.
The Jason Project, live from Alaska on Cable 73. For more information, call 920-1006 or online at secc-tv.org.
Our region.
Did you know there's a video competition here in Sacramento just for students? Well, there is. This is called the SEVA Student Educational Video Awards. Entries are due by March 15th. And winning videos will be shown on educational cable channels 71 and 72.
For all the details, call 920-1006 or go online to secc-tv.org.
This message is brought to you by SECC and AT&T Broadband.
Good. Very good, Liz.
And those awards, our annual Oscars, are going to be held April 18th. So if you mark your calendars, you'll all be getting an invitation to attend that. And if you're available and could help us present the awards to the kids, we'd really appreciate that. I'll be contacting you about that later. And if you'd like to judge any of those videos, please let me know. It's always a lot of fun. We'd love to have you participate in that.
Too much pressure.
Yeah. Too much? It's all very secretive. So.
Thank you very much, Liz. No
Thank
question.
you.
Okay, thanks, Liz.
Ron Cooper.
Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento, and I think we've distributed out a little highlight sheet of programming and activity highlights November, February 2002, and also our most recent issue of Viewfinder. And before I just touch on a few of those highlights, in my email messages to members of the Commission regarding our concerns about the process and about the selection today of Mr. Spasto as Executive Director, I wanted to make something really clear, and that is that everyone at Access Sacramento, and I think everyone else in the room here, really does understand the pressure you're feeling in terms of the regulatory atmosphere, and that you have AT&T, Comcast coming to town, you have issues on this 30 megahertz issue to resolve. So we really do appreciate those pressures you're feeling to bring expertise on board. What we're also looking at, and I read with interest the B article this morning, that talks about a new future, a new direction. It's a different job, as Mr. Spasto describes. And I would suggest that there are 3 prongs to the tripod. One is the regulatory, and no one, I think, has ever questioned Mr. Spasto's ability in the regulatory world, and that's what you're up against. We understand that. There's 2 other legs. One is technology, and one is community building. And in those areas, I would hope that with your help and our invitation to work with Mr. Spasto, that in the area of technology, the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium, and in particular California State University, has tremendous expertise. The issue of the 30 megahertz is their issue. So they really do understand that, and I would hope with your help that we could invite and involve and provide help and support to Mr. Spasto and to you in those efforts. And in community building as well. We at Access Sacramento, and you can see from the highlights, we have tremendous experience and outreach into the community. And we invite Mr. Spasto to our monthly board meetings, we invite Mr. Espasto to involve himself in terms of the community building activities. We think that that's an asset. We think we can be of help. So with your help and guidance, we'll work together toward the future. Just very quickly to go over some of the highlights before you. February is Black History Month, and there's a whole series of weekly programs that we want to thank producer Lauren Reed, who is a professional videographer. These will be wonderful programs, including the Miss Black Sacramento event, which I note with interest is a scholastic achievement as the true measure of beauty, which I think is worth noting. We are proceeding with the programs Caregivers and South County Community Focus. These are funded programs, and those are moving along nicely. We received national, regional, and local notoriety, a very positive way, for the India Earthquake Relief Telethon, and honored by the Indus Valley Chamber of Commerce. There was a banner in terms of the September 11th event that was signed by hundreds of local residents, and 6 hours of programming sent to Manhattan Community Network. It's the largest contribution of programming from any other city, and it is being run currently on Manhattan Community Network in and on the island of Manhattan in remembrance of September 11th and those tragedies. Parent Haven continues, celebrates its 35th half-hour episode. Councilman Dave Jones was a recent guest on Parent Haven. That's a joint project with Sac City Schools. The funding that you've given us for the digital revamp is near completion. It has offered us additional capacity, and we had a very successful meeting with your interim executive director, Bill Edgar, and your Metro 14 staff to talk about that capacity and the way that we might find joint projects together to create mini documentaries for Metro 14 and in conjunction with Metro 14 staff. So early stage yet, but we extend that invitation and want to have further meetings. You can see at our top we have a new logo. We have no brochures that I've distributed before. Our Festival of Cinema obviously is bringing the best and the brightest to Sacramento, because we note that Ellen Kuras, who was a major speaker at last year's event, has just been honored as the best cinematographer for the 2002 Sundance Festival. And is true with our annual planning process. The staff met for 2 days and the board 1 day to review our operating procedures and also our long-term goals, and that'll be a written report presented back to you at your March meeting. And just in conclusion, we were there again for the 10th year at the 28th Pig Bowl, and it was a soggy one, but once again it was a wonderful crew, and we got great help from Walt Gray, and it's very difficult to do a program as long and as intensive as a Pig Bowl and then to run it again that night. The game started at 1, and it started on our channels on 6 o'clock so that the sheriffs and police could go to their parties and watch what they had just done. And so once again we were able to achieve that. And what I have here for you, just in case you missed it, now I know there's some loyalties here, but we just tell it as it is, right? Here's a short as the introductory of the Pig Bowl and the first score. So if we could roll that tape.
Wish it were warmer here, but we are at Fred Anderson Field at Sacramento State University for Pig Bowl 28. The Sacramento Sheriff's Razorbacks against the Sacramento Police Bacon Bombers. My name is Walt Gray. I'll be assisted here ably by KHTK's Doug Kelly, who broadcasts UC Davis football for Sports 1140. Doug, it's kind of a streaky thing going on here. In previous years, the police department did very well. They lead the overall series 15-11 with one tie. But the last 4 years, dominated by the Sheriff's Department, all wins by the Sheriffs. Last year, 51-0.
Guys, as you can see, I'm down here on the sidelines, and as you can see, the reason I bring over the sidelines is to show you that the field is actually draining pretty good. Over here, it's soggy and wet, but out on the middle of the field, it's not bad at all. The players, before the game, were pretty happy with the turf thus far. We'll see what
Speaking
the
of
second
that,
half holds.
we've got the first play of the offensive series for the Sheriff's Department. Bingo! The same connection that hit two times last year. It is Drew Wyant going
60 yards.
60 yards on the money to Jose Whitfield, and right away, it was that easy for the Sheriff's Department to go up 6-0.
So our apologies to the Bacon Bombers, but we just tell it the way it is, and we wish them well for next year because we'll be back. And then one other, just in conclusion. Last week, there was an incredibly intense period of notoriety for one of our programs, and I'm sure each of you are probably aware of that. Rarely have I seen any kind of spontaneous media coverage of anything in Sacramento as I witnessed with that particular program. And I'm not here to defend or explain or anything else except that to let you know that the policies of Access Sacramento to run adult-targeted programming after 11 o'clock, to clearly make understandable to anyone and everyone that indeed there are many options and that we facilitate those options if it is of concern to that household. And that message has really gone forth because with all the dramatic publicity, with all of the attempts to really create a story that did not exist, and Mr. Edgar was there to tell Lois Hart that we received no complaints. I want to proudly say, and there's a lot of ways to choose to look at that. This is the way I choose to look at it. I want to proudly say that the maturity level of Sacramento is incredible because with all of that hype, we received one call based on the News and Review article. The lady had never seen the program. She left no name or phone number for us to get back to. And I've checked with the Cable Commission. There were no calls. All right? And why is that important? Why is that significant? It's because Sacramentans understand if I don't want to watch a program, I don't have to. And I don't have to police for everybody else. I can simply say, I don't want to. And it works. And so we understand and we appreciate your patience during these difficult times. But the system does work, and I just wanted to keep you abreast of that, as we always do. No pun intended.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Before we go back to item number 9, I'd like to proceed to item number 12, please.
Yes, we have public opportunity to discuss matters not on this agenda, and we have a speaker signed up for it.
Daniel Lorem.
Thank
Welcome.
you. My name's Dan Lorem. I just want to give you a kind of overall story of my dealings with AT&T Cable. I signed up with AT&T Cable on January 8th. On July 7th, my cable went out. I thought it was my remote control. I replaced the batteries. That night, the cable company sent a bullet through my TV, wiped out all my cable except for 24 stations. On 7/12, a technician came out. That was a Thursday. It went out on Saturday. Took him 3 remotes to fix my TV. My channels never came back on. On 7/13, I went down and met with Kevin Jones, Vice President, Beatrice Emil, Customer Service Rep, and Regina Van Zant, Assistant to the Vice President. They agreed that they would turn on my TV immediately. I got home 20 minutes later. It wasn't on. I called at 12:30. I was on hold 37 minutes. I called back at 10 p.m. It got on at 10:20. Now, what I haven't told you is during the course of this week, I called 8 times. I was on hold for 8 hours and 20 minutes. There was one time I called, the customer service rep said, AT&T Cable, can I help you? And she hung up. That was after 55 minutes of being on hold. I took 2 trips down there, 50 miles, 50.4 miles round trip. I got no credit for Castaway and Finding Forrester. They gave 99-cent coupons. I got no credits for that. So I took them to small claims court. I won a judgment on 10/26 for $66.99. The representative came in and said, well, I'm suing the wrong person. I sued AT&T Broadband Network Solutions Incorporated. She said she represented AT&T Broadband Cablevision at Sacramento LLCI. So she says, I had no basis. Then she said, cable is a luxury. It's not PG&E or SMUD. So it's a luxury to be on hold for 8 to 10 hours trying to resolve a problem. Now, I know AT&T is a $350 billion company. I received most of the money. They were supposed to pay me in 30 days. They did not pay me until December. I did a sheriff's till tap for $85. They sent me $57 back. AT&T still owes me $28. Now, the sheriffs told me to go down and do a till tap. I thought that was very unusual. I had to stand in line for 25 minutes. There was 2 customer service reps, 17 people in line, no managers there whatsoever. And this is a very, very common problem.
The location was?
Tell Drive.
Thank you.
And I know the Cable Commission has heard many complaints by this. I really want to know, who is it? Is it AT&T Cablevision, where the bills come from? Is it AT&T Broadband, where I got my LLC, where I got my check? Is it AT&T Broadband Cablevision of Sacramento, LLCI, which is Secretary of State? Or as the Sheriff's Department couldn't serve because the State Board of Equalization says they're United Cable TV of Mid-Michigan doing business as AT&T Broadband Sacramento.
What are the dates again of that 8-hour, your allegations about 8 hours worth of total hold time?
That was between July 7th and...
of
2001. And July 12th, 2001. And I got a paltry $66 for my time.
I don't understand how you can do a tilt tap on AT&T.
Well, you do a sheriff's tilt tap. But the sheriffs couldn't serve it because...
I understand the legal
because it was
problems.
the wrong name, because the State Board of Equalization said it was another name. So I went back to the court and they says, well, it's hearsay. So,
we have your name and address here. Direct staff to please follow up on this complaint with both AT&T.
But this is a very common problem for AT&T customers. And as I said, the lady said it's a luxury.
Well, that can all be handled by staff, and we'll try to mitigate this for you and get to the bottom on these complaints, okay?
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, Madam Clerk, can we go back to item number 9? You don't have any other speakers under 12, do you?
No.
Okay. Winston? Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Winston Ashizawa, Vice President and General Manager of WindFirst Sacramento. I apologize for underestimating your punctuality. What I'd like to do following the Pig Bowl and other events, far more colorful than this report, is to give you a rough idea of what's transpired in the past quarter. We launched our sales activities September 17th in South Natomas, and we're pleased with the activity to date. Our construction of our facilities to support our Phase 1 has gone fairly smoothly after we ironed out the problems with termites and those kinds of things. It takes 3 hubs to support Phase 1, and Hub 4, which is in progress, supports a very small portion, we believe on schedule. We should be able to satisfy all of Phase 1. So the first 3 hubs are built and operational. Hub 4, we've acquired the property. We've gotten all the zoning approvals, architectural approvals from the City of Sacramento, and that construction for basically a greenfield bare lot system will start very soon. In terms of the activities of hub sites for Phase 2, we've located a hub site for number 5, and 6 is pending, and we'll start search for actually Hub 8 before 7, probably sometime later in this year. In the specifics of anticipating our work in advance, the land park area is in phase 2, and it's supported by Hub 4. And we started communication with the land park community in August of 2001. And we had a variety of informational meetings with representatives of the Land Park Association and awaited their satisfaction when they felt they had enough information to hold a community meeting. And in conjunction with the Cable Commission staff, Councilman Jimmy Yee's office, and SMUD, we had a meeting in the land park community a few weeks ago. We under-anticipated the turnout. I guess I would say it was good turnout. And the purpose is to communicate with the community so they know what to expect, to manage expectations, to understand what their concerns were. And I think we got a full briefing in terms of what their concerns were. We just met with SMUD this week to go over power pole replacement coordination, which is a large issue. In the land park area, the pole population is quite old, and there are a large number of what are called double red tag poles. These are poles that are basically not really safe to work on. There's been in the year 2000 2 deaths in this community in terms of falls from poles. And so safety is a concern to SMUD and other utilities as well as to us. So it is very important to replace these poles in advance of further work being done on them. So it is a big part of the critical path, which is why we went to the land park community so early, given their pole population is older than they would be, for example, in Folsom or other parts of the community. So we are prepared to go back and give further information to the land park community based on our information that we have on the double red tag poles. Our activity will augment SMUD's activity, in which they normally replace 650 double red tag poles a year. The ones that we do in advance of our outside plant construction activity augments SMUD's 650. So we will work hand in glove with SMUD and SMUD's approved contractor and provide, I think, advance notification to the neighborhood to their satisfaction, I hope. We are probably going to have to change our general time frame of going into the land park area to make sure all of this happens in the best way possible. So rather than activities in land park going on over the next number of months through the summer, we have yet to set a new schedule for how we would proceed. But we are trying to be very sensitive to the concerns of that area and of every area where it requires this kind of pole replacement. So that's basically the highlights that I wish to report today, and I'm sure we'll have another update for you on our activities in Land Park. We have a meeting scheduled for the 28th of this month.
Thank you. Yes, Jimmy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Winston, for the update. I think the main part of our community meeting was to inform the community as to what Wind First is going to do. At least that's what came to my perception of the meeting. And there was a learning process for both sides, what you were going to do and what they should expect.
Right.
The most important thing, of course, is scheduling, making sure that the residents, and this applies to the whole city, not just Land Park, but you can learn from what's going to happen at Land Park, is that the residents have to know the scheduling of your service. especially during replacement of the poles, because the downtime, and I don't know what that downtime is, but you know, when you replace some of those power poles, whether the power actually goes out or not, this is what they're concerned about.
Yes.
You know, their refrigerators, freezers.
Yes, the power does have to be taken down for perhaps 8 hours for a pole replacement, and there's no doubt that that's an effect and inconvenience at minimum to people that lose their electric service for that purpose. Of course, the alternative is that pole fails in a storm, and then the outage can be much longer than that to safely deal with the repair. What we are going to do is the normal SMUD process is a 24 to 48 hour advance notice to the property owner that pole replacement is about to occur. We're going to change our work to schedule it so that we are going to promise residents a 1 week notice, and they will know specifically what's going to happen on their property with regard to vegetation, if a crane is necessary, to their fences, so that there's clear notice as to what changes will occur, how the property will be restored, and when the work will take place.
That's good to hear, Winston, because those are some of the critical issues of any utility going into a private backyard. The perception, of course, that you just go in anytime you want. That isn't the case. You will notify them 1 week in advance.
Yes.
As to what day it is, and then the responsibility of your company is to restore any damaged yard or fence.
Yes.
This has to be clear to the residents. At the same time, I think the residents have to also understand that utilities have a right-of-way in the easements. We can't force them to put, or can't force you to put cable underground unless they want to pay for it. And it has to be clear to the residents. We all like to have utilities underground, but the fact that if there's already poles existing, then we have to allow utilities to go along with adding any more lines. So the next meeting, of course, we'll have when you have all the answers to the questions that was raised. And
we'll have more map exhibits and such to facilitate a larger turnout.
Yeah, we had about 350 people in that auditorium, not enough chairs to go around. But
does not surprise me.
Yeah, I appreciate Windfirst coming in with staff and Bill Edgar going there, plus SMUD, because it's a total input from all three, because it's all impacted, and I look forward to the next meeting. One thing I did want to make clear is that at the next meeting, there will not be any discussion about the legal issues regarding franchises. I've instructed them that if there's any question regarding that their attorneys should meet with our attorneys one-to-one instead of making this a public debate, because that's not the place to discuss those types of issues.
Thank you.
I had one question, Winston. In terms of these poles, these are the poles that are already carrying multiple type?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so all of their service is then affected because this is their...
I don't know how
is it their phone service? It's everything, isn't it? I don't know because we're undergrounded.
In some cases, the telephone system and the existing cable system can be transferred to the new pole without affecting service to the customer.
It's just
now,
the electrical
in some cases, there may be interruptions in service, so there's no 100% guarantee. It depends on what has to be corrected with that pole and what is on that pole.
But normally it's a safety issue where telephone and cable are not a danger to the people working up there like electricity is, and that's why that
yes, there's a
sometimes
requirement
let it
for so many feet of clearance between the telecom layer and the high power voltage layer.
Yeah, true. Well, I'm glad it's all being coordinated. It's just terrible if you don't get it all coordinated.
Okay. Susan? Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Winston.
much, Winston. I'd like to adjourn this meeting now if there's no other further business to come before us in memory of a longtime member of this commission, a personal friend of mine, and the mayor of Galt, Tony Gora. So we're hereby adjourned.
Thank you.
access to homes within the neighborhood and not to provide